the prime accused of the parliament attack case, Afzal Guru. Well, he was, remember, sentenced to death by the Supreme Court, and the breaking news we have is that President Pranab Mukherjee has now actually agreed to him being hanged. Afzal Guru has been taken to the Tihar Jail, and it seems that final preparations are on for hanging him there. Joining us with the very latest is our correspondent Kamaljeet Sandhu. Kamaljeet, what is it that you're getting to hear? How soon is it possible that Afzal Guru might be hanged?
Well, what we're coming to know from our sources, Home Ministry being extremely tight-lipped about this entire incident. But remember, even during Kasab's hanging, there was a shroud of secrecy. But there was a lot of pressure, especially on Sushil Kumar Shinde, the Home Minister, that they had to take a decision. Remember, Congress had time and again had been accused of being weak as far as Afzal Guru is concerned. What we know from our sources is the President has indeed rejected Afzal Guru's mercy petition, and thereafter the process of hanging actually does begin. And there is no confirmation about the timing of the hanging, but what we're coming to know is the decision on it has been taken, and the process of hanging has begun.
Kamaljeet, what is the protocol which kicks in now that it's been decided that his mercy petition is most likely going to be rejected?
Well, you would remember that Afzal Guru's petition had been pending with the President. There was a change of guard. Pratibha Patil had this petition, but there was no decision which was taken. And when the new President came in, this petition was sent back to Home Ministry for reconsideration. Mr. Sushil Kumar Shinde had assured almost everyone that he would act on the file as soon as possible and would send it back. There was a study of this particular file, and it was sent back to the President, after which a decision was taken. And this has been a quick decision. After Kasab, there has been another hanging, and then comes Afzal Guru's case. So yes, Congress has actually gone ahead and shown that they are indeed taking a decision. And this was one controversial case. A lot of people said that it had something to do with vote bank politics. There were a lot of accusations even made by the opposition parties. But yes, we know Afzal Guru is lodged in Tihar Jail, and that there could be a process on right now where he could actually be hung in the next couple of hours.
Well, Kamal, do stay on with us. We are also joined by our political editor, Javed Ansari. Well, Javed, what do you make of this sudden decisiveness which has kicked into the government, and with Pranab Mukherjee as the president, it seems that implementation of laws and justice is going to be prompt from here on. We saw the case earlier of Kasab, and now that of Afzal Guru.
Well, indeed, it does mean that Mr. Pranab Mukherjee is not wasting any time, and he's acting on this. This case has been pending for a very long time, and it has led to all kinds of insinuations and speculations, and this government has been charged of playing vote bank politics, and for considerations of vote bank politics, not taking these decisions. However, ever since Mr. Pranab Mukherjee moved to Rashtrapati Bhavan, he has started acting on this. The new Home Minister had given us to understand that within weeks of taking over, he will act on this. Now, although that deadline has passed, but now they've decided to bite the bullet, and the orders have been issued. Now it's just a question of matter of a few hours or of details when this whole process is completed.
Well, Javed, do stay on with us. Shuja Ul Haq also joins us from Srinagar. Shuja, it's just been a couple of minutes since we are getting confirmation about Afzal Guru's possible hanging, now that his mercy petition has probably been rejected. How is this news likely to be received by the people of Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, Meghna, this is a tricky situation for the government at this point of time. We've seen a lot of opposition to the idea of hanging Afzal Guru from various sections of the political spectrum in Kashmir Valley, including the mainstream political parties. They have also opposed to this idea. As of now, what we are hearing and picking up from the ground is that security agencies have been put on high alert. We've also heard that restrictions have been imposed in various areas of Kashmir Valley, particularly in old city areas of Srinagar and Sopore, where from Afzal Guru actually hails. These are the kind of arrangements that are already kick-started in Kashmir by the security agencies, which clearly give you a signal that yes, there is a possibility of the decision being taken, and also the government is not taking any chances about the security. That they have beefed up almost the security on the security lines. They have beefed up almost every possible scenario. But that having been said, it will be very interesting and very important to see how politically how the entire thing turns out for the Jammu and Kashmir government, because mostly the separatist leaders and other opposition parties have been opposed to the idea of hanging of Afzal Guru.
Well, Shuja, do stay on with us. Kamaljeet, if I could come back to you, what about the security preparations right here in the national capital? Is it confirmed now that Tihar Jail is perhaps where Afzal Guru is going to be hanged?
Well, at this point of time, as I told you and mentioned to you earlier, the Home Ministry is extremely tight-lipped about it. We would come to know something in a couple of minutes from now. But the fact remains that there seems to be a shout of secrecy, even in the case of Ajmal Kasab, where we saw that they were extremely tight-lipped even till the last minute when he was being hung. There was almost a shroud of secrecy in that case, and we've seen it time and again. But yes, as far as security scenario is concerned, people are taken into consideration, and in fact, even as I mentioned to you, except for a few jail officials and the top Home Ministry people, nobody really knew about Ajmal Kasab's hanging. And in this case also, we've seen we talked to Mr. Shinde time and again, and he was very tight-lipped, saying, the file has been pending with him. Though on headlines today itself, he had said that he would not take more than 72 hours before he takes a decision on it. But yes, it's taken him a couple of months before he settled as Home Minister. The file was sent back to the President in a couple of months, and we know a decision has been taken by the President. It's been rejected. So it's a matter of time before Afzal Guru is really hung.
But Kamaljeet, what is this procedure from here on to really go ahead and execute someone who's been found guilty by the Supreme Court as well?
Well, definitely, after the Supreme Court rejects it, there is a mercy petition option with the convict, and that mercy petition definitely goes to a Home Ministry first. It is sent by the jail authorities. This procedure, then what happens is the Home Ministry sends it to the President, and then a decision is taken, after which both the state governor is informed, the Home Ministry officials are informed about the decision. That decision is conveyed to the jail officials. And finally, even before the hanging takes place, the convict is really told about the date and the time of the hanging, and his last wish is taken into consideration. His family is obviously informed about this, and yes, after the last wish is over, then the hanging actually does take place.
Kamaljeet, any word from his family? Do you know if they are going to be attending it?
Most of the time, what we know is that the hanging takes place inside the jail premises, and obviously nobody is allowed to witness this hanging. There is obviously a doctor who's present who will announce the person after hanging that the person has actually in fact died. There are these jail authorities. So yes, we do not know what the process of Afzal Guru is. Remember, Ajmal Kasab was from Pakistan and he was buried inside Pune jail. But as far as Afzal Guru is concerned, he is an Indian citizen. What we do expect is that his family would take claim to the body. It would be something that he might be taken away to Jammu and Kashmir. But yes, the government at this point of time has not confirmed officially on record regarding Afzal Guru. That announcement is expected anytime soon now.
Kamalji, do stay on with us. Javed, if I could come to you, what about the government? How do you think politically this is going to be panning out for the Congress?
Look, this is a very sensitive issue. In fact, this needs to be watched, and this is, the repercussions for this have to be watched very closely. Its implications more so than Ajmal Kasab. Ajmal Kasab, after all, was a citizen of Pakistan, and one of the reasons why the government have been very careful and very cautious as far as Afzal Guru is concerned is on account of the implications and reactions that this may have in Jammu and Kashmir. The state government and other leaders from Jammu and Kashmir have from time to time been urging caution. Now that the government has decided to bite the bullet, they will have to be on their toes and on their guard. And as Shuja was saying, that already security has been tightened in Jammu and Kashmir. So whatever reactions or implications have to happen will probably be in Jammu and Kashmir. And that's where everybody needs to watch out for.
In fact, joining us from Jammu and Kashmir is Shuja ul Haq, our correspondent. Shuja, Omar Abdullah is known to be quite vocal about his views. In this case, has he said anything? Well, we will try and reconnect with Shuja and get more reactions coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. We'll wait and see if any of the political parties come out either for or against Afzal Guru. But Javed, how do you think it's going to play out politically in Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, that is something that needs to be watched. Omar Abdullah, Farooq Abdullah, and even other senior Congress leaders from the state have been, they are a bit wary of how this will play out. They fear that separatists, extremists could use this to try and create a fresh round of trouble in Kashmir. After a long time, Kashmir has gone through a rather, by Kashmir standards, a rather long spell of peace and calm. And now, with this, there is a possibility that elements inimical to India's interests would try and create some kind, use this to try and some trouble there. That's why the government and security agencies are on their toes, and they are very worried and vigilant about what could be the likely repercussions there. As far as the rest of the country is, there might be some fringe elements who might try and make this a bit of an issue, but by and large, the vast majority, once the deed is done, by and large majority would go with what the government has decided.
Well, Jawad, first it was Kasab, then now it's Afzal Guru. Do you think the chorus is going to get louder for more such expeditious hangings?
Yes. I mean, these were the two main cases. The others are not, they are not as prominent. Some people, most of the other, these relate to waging war against the country. So these were the two prominent cases. As far as the others are concerned, some are for committing heinous crimes, for murder, for cases like rarest of rare. So, I mean, the two most prominent ones were this, Ajmal Kasab and Afzal Guru. The others, I mean, they don't really measure up to the same scale as these two.
Right. Kamaljeet, if I could come back to you, Home Ministry, how is it bracing itself today?
Well, definitely remember this is a Saturday, so it is a half day as far as Home Ministry is concerned, but this is an announcement which is expected after 8 o'clock. That's what we've been told. They've been extremely tight-lipped about what the process is really going to be. But yes, what we've come to know from our sources is that the President has rejected the mercy petition, and yes, the entire process of hanging then begins, because then the nodal agencies are really informed as to what the procedure is going to be. And as I told you, then the procedure of the hanging really actually does begin. And as far as Afzal Guru's case is concerned, this has been an extremely dicey one. As far as Congress is concerned, there's also been an appeal of clemency from various human rights organizations. Even many sections of mainstream parties from Jammu and Kashmir had voiced their opinion. A lot of human rights organizations actually said there was not a fair trial of Afzal Guru. So in that sense, if we really have a look, there were a lot of repercussions as far as this case is concerned. But remember, the attack on Parliament was seen, the December 2001 attack on Parliament was seen as almost a waging war against the country. And that is why he was sentenced to death by the Supreme Court of India in 2004. So it's typically taken after that 9 years before this sentence, there was this death sentence which was given to him. Earlier also, this case had been pending with various presidents, including Pratibha Patil. But it is the new president who has taken a decision on it. But yes, Afzal Guru is an Indian citizen. He belongs to Sopore in Baramulla district of Jammu and Kashmir. So in that sense, there has to be a huge repercussion. A lot of people in various sections in the state always said that perhaps fair travel was not given to Afzal Guru. And that is why there was demand for clemency, as we saw in Rajwana's case, which was in Punjab. So in that sense, we know that a major decision is expected at any point of time after 8 o'clock.
Hmm. Well, Kamalji, do stay on with us. Joining us now is Shuja ul Haq. Well, Shuja, how is this likely to pan out politically for the Umar Abdullah government?
Well, it is a very tricky situation for the Omar Abdullah government because on the ground there have been various voices coming from Jammu and Kashmir, particularly Kashmir, who were absolutely against the idea of hanging of Afzal Guru. Separatist parties, mostly all the sections of the separatist parties have rejected the idea of the hanging of Afzal Guru. Even Chief Minister himself was of the opinion, which he had expressed several times, that Afzal Guru should not be hanged, and the opposition parties were also of the same opinion. So it will be very difficult for the government to tackle the entire situation. On the ground, we have already started seeing deployments of forces in sensitive areas of Kashmir, particularly in Srinagar city and Sopore, the district where from this Afzal Guru actually hails. So it is quite typically a very difficult situation for Omar Abdullah to handle. It will be very interesting to see how the political scenario pans out from here, because now you will see statements and reactions from the separatist parties will start trickling in, that will decide the current kind of situation we will see on the ground in Kashmir.
Well, Shuja, we've seen Omar Abdullah being quite vocal, especially on mediums such as Twitter and all. Has he reacted at all?
No, not yet. We haven't seen any reaction coming in from Omar Abdullah himself on this issue. But yes, as I was pointing out earlier, we are witnessing that security arrangements are being made. There are heightened security arrangements put in place in old city Srinagar. Some of the places have also started seeing restrictions put in place, particularly in those areas where the sensitivities are more important. We've also heard from the village of Afzal Guru. There also paramilitary forces have been put on high alert. So that clearly goes on to suggest that the government is trying to ready itself for any eventuality.
Well, Shuja, do stay on with us. Well, we have breaking news coming in. It has now been confirmed to headlines today that the president has indeed approved the hanging of the parliament attack convict Afzal Guru. In fact, it is something that has been confirmed that President Pranab Mukherjee has given his consent to Afzal Guru's hanging. And joining us with the very latest is our associate editor, Arthur Khan. Arthur, what is it that you're picking up? Has the confirmation been given by the president that yes, the hanging should now commence?
Well, that's right. The consent has been given by the president, and what we are learning from our sources in Tihar Jail is that there was a lot of activity in the morning, and though the officers are not giving a confirmation, but we have learned from our sources that there was a movement in Tihar Jail today, and there is a possibility that there could have been some action. But as of now, the officials are not, confirming this bit of information. But our sources are clearly telling us that there has been action at Tihar Jail today morning.
So, Arthur, you are saying just like in Kasab's case, it's possible that Afzal Guru has already been hung?
Well, there is a high possibility, Meghna, the reason being that these operations, as we had seen in Kasab's case, are carried out in high secrecy. They are highly confidential operations which are carried immediately after the assent is given, and that's what has happened. And we have also learned that there was activity in Tihar Jail today morning. However, the officials are not confirming this at the moment, but there is a high likelihood that very soon there will be an announcement from the Home Ministry.
Well, Arthur, do stay on with us. Kartikeya Sharma also joins us. Kartikeya, it seems that Afzal Guru has already been hung, this possibly at 5:25 a.m. So it seems the government has done exactly what it did in the case of Kasab. Fearing a backlash, they have already executed him before making that announcement.
I would say that this operation was actually carried on the lines or the way they carried out the Yarwada jail operation. Very few people were kept to loop. They ensured that very few details were let out before that. There was an assurance on part of the Home Minister that all these issues would be looked into. But I would say that this is a sort of a result of larger policy decision by government that on national security issues, making that they will not keep any decision pending. And I think it's probably because of that they have decided to hang Afzal Guru. And more importantly, like in the case of Adbal Kasab, where the burial took place
Right.
inside the jail. In this case, they will have to give the body back to the family, one, and secondly, they'll have to take care of the internal security situation through the country, because the difference is he was not an Indian citizen, he is an Indian
Right.
citizen and a Kashmiri. So procedurally, yes, there is a parity, but in terms of the consequences of decisions, the government has factored a lot of things before taking this final.
Well, Kartikeya, do stay on with us. Also joining us is our executive editor, Rahul Shivshankar. Rahul, what do you make of this new decisive government taking swift decisions such as this, implementing law as soon as possible?
Well, the consensus within government perhaps had been evolving over the last few months, specifically after they decided to bite the bullet on Ajmal Amir Kasab. It's not a surprise, therefore, that the President of India has taken a resolute decision on this particular case. Remember that the larger political consequences have to be factored in, and I'm quite sure that the government has already factored those in. There will be, of course, some amount of consternation in the valley, which was always expected, given the fact that, as Kartikeya was telling us, Afzal Guru is a Kashmiri citizen. He is obviously domiciled there. There have been in the past Kashmiri parties that have come out and said, both mainstream and of course among the separatist ranks, who have said that they will not appreciate any move to hang Afzal Guru, because that would be in violation of what they feel are perceived human rights of Afzal Guru, because they've always said that as far as they are concerned, he's innocent of his crime. The larger consequences, of course, will play out over the next few months, because at the end of the day, one has to equate this with the changing and the run-up, of course, to the 2014 elections, and also, of course, Meghna, very, very importantly, the fact that as of now, there seems to be, at some level or the other, a polarization that is taking place in the polity, and these decisions have to be taken, obviously, by this government in a way as to send out the message that they're not weak on terror, they're not weak on at some level or the other combating terror, which is something that the NDA has been making political capital out of. So in the larger consequence, perhaps the government taking into account what is going to be a very busy electoral season, both at the state and the national level over the next 13 or 14 months.
Well, Rahul, why do you think that the government did it in such a hushed-up manner as they did in the case of Kasab as well?
Well, there are, of course, ramifications. Kartikeya and Shuja both will testify to that. There have been in the past a large number of Kashmiri groups, including mainstream political parties, who have expressed their reservations about any move to hang Afzal Guru. They had threatened law and order consequences if such a move were to be taken. So the government avoiding at every level any build-up to this particular event, so that there would be no prep time really for any of these organizations to come in and try to spike this process. We do believe that over the last few months there have been consultations between the Jammu and Kashmir State Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, who has of course been coming and meeting with the Prime Minister, meeting with the Home Minister on quite a regular basis. Many people would now say, perhaps in retrospect, that the groundwork or the spade work was already being done to contain the political fallout of such a decision maker.
Well, Kartikeya, if I could come back to you, what is the political implication, not just for the Congress, but also the NC back in the valley? Well, Rahul, if I could put that question to you, what is the political ramification for this, especially for the National Congress, now that we've had separators come out in favor of giving Afzal Guru a life sentence rather than executing him? Well, that is the big story that we have coming out of this morning, that Afzal Guru has already been hung. The sources are telling us that 5:25 in the morning, the possibility is that he was hanged at the Tihar Jail. Joining us now is our senior editor, Javed Ansari. Javed, how do you see this is going to pan out, not just for the Congress, but also the NC in Kashmir?
Look, that remains to be seen. Obviously, this is a far more sensitive issue. Like I said earlier, the implications of this on domestically will be much larger than was the case where Ajmal Kasab was concerned. Afzal Guru is a citizen of India. He was domiciled in Kashmir, and therefore there is a likelihood that some fringe elements inimical to the interests of the country, could try and use this to create further trouble. Kashmir, by its own standard, has had the longest spell under Umar Abdullah of peace and calm. Now there is a fear that this could be used to try and create trouble, to try and shatter that peace there. So much of what will happen will mostly be confined to the valley. There could be fringe elements here and there who might try and raise this issue, but largely this will happen in the valley, and that is why our sources are telling us that already, security is on high. Security forces are on heightened alert. Some people say that parts of Kashmir of the valley are also under curfew, and that security forces are bracing themselves up for any possible reaction. As far as the rest of the country is concerned, yes, politically in the days to come, this was one of the things on which the UPA government was attacked, that it was soft on terror, that it was not acting against the likes of Afzal Guru on account of vote bank politics. However, that will now be taken care of, and through this move and the one earlier in which they hanged Ajmal Kasab, the government of India, the ruling combination has ensured that at least that part of the opposition's attack will be blunted.
In fact, Javed, right now on headlines today, we are getting you visuals, live visuals coming in from Srinagar. As you can see, security has been beefed up, and in fact, our correspondent Shuja Haq has been giving us reports how curfew has already been imposed in certain areas where the government thinks that there is a possibility of things going wrong and possibly some violence out on the streets, which is why security has already been beefed up and curfew has already been imposed. We will try and reconnect with our correspondent Shuja Haq, get you more details of how really the Kashmir Valley is now preparing, now that Afzal Guru, someone who really hails from Kashmir, and how his hanging is going to be received. It is early morning right now, and this is a Saturday morning. We have to wait and see how it is received, but for the time being, we have got these visuals coming in from Srinagar showing you how shops are mostly closed. Security has been beefed up as well. Javed, do you think this is what the Home Ministry is going to be most worried about immediately? The fact that it is security that needs to be beefed up, not just in the Kashmir Valley, there might be fringe elements elsewhere in the nation as well.
Well, absolutely. You're spot on. The biggest concern of the security agencies, both in the state and in the center, would be to try and contain such elements who might try and use this to create trouble. The focus, of course, will be the valley, but however, they are across the country as well at sensitive areas, at sensitive locations. Security will be beefed up, and I'm sure those preparations must already be underway, because this is a sensitive issue, and there is a potential for fringe elements to try and use this to create trouble. This I'm sure is something which the security agencies and the government of India must have factored in before they took the decision that they did, and therefore, like we can see playing out on our television sets, all the security arrangements already have been put in place in Srinagar, and I'm sure that even in the rest of the country, the government and the security forces must be on heightened alert.
Well, Javed, do stay on with us. Majid Memon, senior advocate, is now joining us on the phone line. So what do you make of this new swift and decisive system of implementing the laws of the land?
You see, a few days ago, we all got this news when we rose from sleep. In a similar manner, the news broke with top secrecy that Ajmal Guru is finally hanged. This is seen too, because this is second very prominent case where lot of discussion was going on, and some opposition parties were even attributing motives to the present UPA government, and the suspicion was raised even with regard to non-functioning of the Honorable President. And then we have been having a lot of debate over the past few, say, months or a couple of years that there should be some law to, describe a limit on the period of pendency of mercy petitions, because Afzal Guru's hanging was due. And I think today everything is laid to rest, and this was the important duty of the UPA government, which has been discharged.
But Mr. Memon, the first parallel that everyone seems to be drawing is with that of Kasab. Do you think that is a bit unfair, considering Kasab wasn't an Indian national? Afzal Guru, after all, comes from Sopore. He is an Indian. How different do you think the implications are going to be in this case?
आज अफजल गुरु को सुना कि फांसी देने वाली है, तो उसी कारण यहाँ पे कर्फ्यू लगाया कि हमें पता भी नहीं चला कि क्यों कर्फ्यू क्यों लगाया सुबह सवेरे, लेकिन कारण ये है कि हमने सुना कि अफजल गुरु की फांसी है, उसी कारण पूरा कश्मीर बंद हुआ। हाँ, मेरे ख्याल से पूरा कश्मीर बंद हुआ।
There you just heard the first reaction coming in from Srinagar. The locals are saying that this happened in the case of Kasab, and this time around again the valley has now woken up to this huge news that Afzal Guru has already been hung. However, Mr. Menon, if I could come back to you, I was asking you, is it fair to really draw parallels between the case of Kasab and then again of Afzal Guru? After all, Afzal Guru is an Indian.
No, not at all. You see, there is no question of one being Indian and the other being non-Indian, foreigner or a Pakistani. The facts and circumstances relating to each case is examined by the Home Ministry, then the Cabinet ponders over this and takes a decision, and finally the President gets the green signal to put his nod. Now, in the case of Afzal Guru, true that period of waiting has been long enough. But certainly it had to end one day, and that day has dawned today. And I think all those who were, attributing motives to the UPA government that they will never hang Afzal Guru and there are certain reasons and motives, etc., have all been silenced by today's act. And the whole country would certainly welcome that, well, finally the law has taken its course and a due sentence has duly been executed. So I think it's in a good consequence of what has happened this morning, and the secrecy had to be maintained considering the sensitivity of the matter.
Fair enough, Mr. Menon. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Headlines today. Shuja ul Haq, our correspondent, joins us from the valley. Well, Shuja, what about Afzal Guru's family, his wife? Were they here in Delhi when he was hung?
Well, as of now, we have not been able to get in touch with the family. As I was pointing out earlier, there are heightened security measures that have been put in place in Srinagar and other parts of the valley as well. The police has put in a heavy deployment of their personnel, and which includes the central paramilitary forces as well in several areas of Srinagar city and other parts of Kashmir, which clearly points out that there is some activity as far as the Afzal Guru's matter is concerned. Police is not taking any action, if there anything lying down, they will make sure that everything is put on alert. It will be very important to
see. Well, Shuja, just sorry to interrupt you. Let's listen into reactions coming in from Srinagar.
मकबूल भट्ट को ये अफजल गुरु को फांसी दी गई, तो पूरा आपको रोक दिया गया है। हाँ, पूरा नाकाबंदी लग रही है यहाँ पे।
Well, Shuja, if I could come back to you, we are just getting reactions coming in. Have you spoken to the locals in Kashmir? What is it that they are saying when they woke up today morning to the news of the fact that Afzal Guru has already been hung, this at 5:25 in the morning at the Tihar Jail?
Well, this is a shocking piece of news that Kashmir has woken up to, and also Kashmir did also wake up to heavy restrictions put in place by security forces in several parts of the valley, the police and the security establishment preempting that there could be some trouble that may happen because of this decision. So they have put in a heavy police force on almost all the stretches in Kashmir Valley. As far as the locals are concerned, most of them initially didn't even understand what was happening. But now it is slowly starting. The information slowly started trickling in that it is because of Afzal Guru and the decision that the government of India has taken on him that this entire security establishment has suddenly been swung into action. As far as the Afzal Guru's hometown is concerned, we are getting information that Sopore at this point of time has been completely turned into a fortress. Additional forces have been sent to the area. The paramilitary forces are deployed in almost all nook and corners of Sopore town. Our local people who you work with us there give us information that people are not even allowed to move out. So that is the kind of arrangements that have been put in place, which can give you a clear sense of how the establishment is trying to sort of make sure that nothing untoward happens and is geared up for the reactions that might come out with this decision.
Shuja, do you think that the NC government has already spoken to the centre, have asked for reinforcements in the valley?
Well, we have enough, as far as the troops are concerned, we have enough troops in the valley, particularly paramilitary forces. There is a substantial number of forces that we have in the valley. It's only the decisions are to be taken by the government and the local administration as to where the force has to be deployed. And that is what we are seeing happening already in Kashmir Valley, particularly in Srinagar and Sopore areas. Heavy deployment of not only Jammu Kashmir police but the central paramilitary forces can already be seen on the streets of the valley.
Well, Shuja, do stay on with us. Athir Khan still joins us. Athir, is there anything that your sources are telling you about how really this entire operation was carried out in the most secretive of manner?
Well, what we have learned is that it was a top secret operation which was carried out in a very confidential manner. What we know is that usually when we call the officials in Tihar Jail, they normally pick up the phones, but all the phones had been switched off. However, we learned from our sources in Tihar Jail that yes, there was action in the morning, and intelligence sources have now told us that this operation was carried out in utter secrecy.
Are there also, who all are the people who knew about it?
Well, just like Kasab's case, it was a top secret operation in which only the DG Tihar Jail was taken into confidence.
Right. Arthur, sorry to interrupt you. Ujjwal Nikam now joins us on the phone line. Sir, what do you make of this rather prompt and very unexpected, would you say, development this early morning? Well, we will try and get back to Ujjwal Nikam in just a bit, but Arthur, if you could continue your answer. Well, that is the big breaking news that we've gotten. The government has finally bitten the bullet. Afzal Guru has been hanged. This happened at the Tihar Jail early in the morning at 5:25. Shuja ul Haq is on the phone line with us. Well, Shuja, politically, is the NC worried about a backlash?
Well, politically, yes, it is a very tricky situation for the government because almost all political parties in the Kashmir Valley, both from the separatist camp as well as the mainstream camp, have been opposed of the idea of hanging of Afzal Guru. We've seen Hurriyat Conference several times coming out and saying that it will not be a very good decision for the government to take. We've also seen political parties like People's Democratic Party, PDP, coming out openly and saying that Afzal Guru should not be hanged. There should be a review of the decision. So, as far as National Conference is concerned, Chief Minister Umar Abdullah himself was seen several times coming out and saying that Afzal Guru's decision should be reviewed. So it will be a tricky situation for the government here politically as well. And as far as the security is concerned, it is a very difficult situation for the government to handle because at this point of time, there are a lot of sentiments attached with the issue of Afzal Guru itself. A lot of people in the valley have had associating Afzal Guru with the issue of Kashmir as well. So it will be difficult for the government on both the factors, politically as well as in terms of maintaining law and order in the valley.
Well, Shuja, what everyone would want to know is Omar Abdullah one of those few people who knew about this execution, that it was about to happen today morning?
Well, as of now, we have no confirmation as to whether Omar Abdullah was, part of this entire decision making. But what I can confirm and what I can tell you is that we got the first information at around 6 o'clock in the morning, and that is the time when we also saw heavy deployment of police force already on the street. So that clearly gives you an impression that at least the state government was kept in loop because they were clearly having these orders that something would happen, and that's why the deployment was also accordingly made.
Well, Shuja, do stay on with us. Kartikeya Sharma also joins us on the phone line. Well, Kartikeya, who all are the people who must have known, who would have been in the loop that Afzal Guru is to be hanged today?
See, this was a political decision. Obviously, it includes the Prime Minister, it includes the Home Minister, it includes Defence Minister, because he hails from the state of Kashmir, and you had to take special or make special preparations for it, because it will have some sort of bearing on the administration there, though it would be very presumptuous on part of anyone to say that there will be problem or to use the word law and order. But then the job of the state is to take requisite action. And thirdly, Congress President Sonia Gandhi will be in loop on this political decision, because ultimately, legally, this decision would have been taken or should have been taken by any government 8 to 9 years back. Even NDA could have taken the decision, but then they chose to execute it. And I would say that it is part of the larger reality which is facing UPA, that every decision, whether hard economic, hard national security or political, they are taking before 2014. That is why I would say that it's a knee-jerk reaction. They have probably decided that they'll start taking care of all these pending cases. But yes, very few people would have been in loop, at maximum 5 or 6, apart from certain officers who are there to execute it, people who are there in the prison. For example, the commissioner who would have to take care of local arrangement, or DG Tihar, DG prisons, where he was kept. So apart from the politicians, I would say the list wouldn't cross the mark of even 15, because the total secrecy had to be maintained, and that is why in the case of Ajmal and now in the case of Afzal Guru, no one knew till